This class is going to have a little bit more than 200 points of assignments that you can do. The grade itself is going to be taken out of 200. So your job at the beginning and onward is simply to earn points, to earn points and to earn points. And you need to be looking at the sum of the points that you earn, that accumulate as you move from the beginning of the class to the end. As you get towards the end, you need to be hitting 180, 190, 200 points, or even more than 200, because there's a possibility that you can go over 200. Anything over 200 is extra credit for you, because when it comes to putting down your score into my grade book, I'm simply going to take the total sum of points that you've earned. It's going to be sitting there in, on that learning management system, and I'm going to look at it and I'm going to just divide it by 2, right? I'm going to divide it by 2, and whatever I get is going to be your grade. If it's over 100, then you get an A plus. If it's anywhere 95, A plus, 93, A, things like that. If you, as after I divide it in half and it's 85, that's a B. You see where I'm getting? We're on a 10% scale where it's 90 to 100 is A, some sort of A, you know, 80 to 89.9 or whatever is some sort of B. So there's a 10% scale there. When I have to translate the grades into letter grades, the numeric grades into letter grades. But just 2 things to keep in mind. You're all going to start off with 0 points. So, climb, climb, climb up the mountain, get those points, get those points. And at the very end, at the very, very end, just look at all the points you've earned, divide it by half. That's your score. If it's over 100 points, then relax. You have basically 100, and that's an A plus. The second thing is, please be aware that this, and remember this, all right? It's about adding the points together, and then realizing, well, this is out of 200, divide by half, there's your score. It's not about percentages in terms of what the LMS might tell you as it tracks your work. By LMS, I mean the Learning Management System. And whether it's Blackboard or Desire to Learn, which is usually Brightspace or Canvas or Google Classroom or whatever, many times you're going to get feedback on your progress, and you might get a number that says, um, that is a percentage that tells you like, hey, for this assignment you got 100%, for another assignment you got 100%, and they might be looking at your average progress over the assignments. So if for example, if you turn in 5 assignments and you get every point for all of those, let's say each assignment is worth 10 points and you're up to 50 already. Because you've gotten all the points for every assignment, your average grade is 100% on every one of those assignments. So you might be able to find a percentage number sitting there at your grades, or you know as feedback from the the web version of the class that is suggesting to you that you have 100%. You need to be very, very careful about that. That is not talking about your overall grade in the class. That's talking about your average performance on every assignment. All right, because I've had students before that have really accumulated only a certain amount of points that, once I did the math, gave them a 70, let's say 70. Well, I gave that person a C, because if it was a 100-point class, they earned only 70. If it was 200, they earned 140. Then I've divided by 2, it was 70 points. But what happened is they somehow saw a performance metric that said 100%, and they thought they had 100% in the class, so they stopped working. After a while, maybe the last 2 weeks or 3 weeks of the class, they didn't turn in anything. So they were getting zeros for those assignments, but that number, performance metric, was still sitting there at 100, because it the student just stopped submitting stuff. So the computer didn't have information to adjust the 100% performance marker. And that's just a bad surprise for everyone. Over Christmas break, they get the grades and it's a C, or over the summer and they're like, well, somebody made a mistake. I was sitting at 100%. And then I asked them, well, how many points did you actually earn in the class? Oh, 70 or 140. Well, that's a C, you know. So it's all about earning the points, adding the points together, getting a great big number of points at the end of the class, by the end of the class. All right, please keep that in mind.